On to some breaking news coming in right this minute. According to reports, India is preparing to lower its high tariffs as the trade discussions with the US continue. That's the latest coming in at this point. Now remember, this comes ahead of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's crucial visit to Washington on February 12 that we've been telling you about, where tariff reductions will also be a major point of discussion. In fact, the US has long criticized India's import duties, calling them restrictive, and is pushing for a more balanced trade relationship. Kevin Hassett, former economic advisor to the US President Donald Trump, in fact, has reiterated concerns about India's high tariffs. And he states that if India reduces its tariffs, the US will respond in kind. However, Washington expects significant changes and is prepared to impose new tariffs on steel and aluminium if trade barriers remain. According to reports, India is considering tariff cuts in at least a dozen sectors, from electronics to medical equipment and chemicals, to boost US exports in line with New Delhi's domestic production plans. Now, those are the details trickling in at this point. This is a developing story, and we will continue to monitor the latest for you.
Breaking news, at least 40 people are dead after a bus crash in Guatemala. The nation's president says he's sending the army to assist at the site. Foreign correspondent Marcus Moore is monitoring that story for us. Marcus, what's the latest there?
Well, hey, Diane, this is just a horrendous situation unfolding just outside Guatemala City right now. A bus carrying dozens of people crashed into a ravine this morning. And we know right now of at least 40 deaths and more than a dozen injuries. You see the image of the scene there. Look at that bus that has been destroyed. It was partially submerged in the murky waters outside the city. That bus upside down. Rescuers are rushing to that scene to try to reach people who may be trapped. And in looking at the scene video, you get some sense of just how difficult this area is to reach. It's unclear what caused the bus to topple off of that bridge and into the water, but certainly a race against time today for rescuers to try to reach the people who were trapped in the wreckage, many of them also who may be injured. Now, according to the Reuters news agency, this bus plummeted about 65 feet down into that ravine, driving off the Belize Bridge in Guatemala. And this is a very busy bus route. The president has declared several days of national mourning. And as you just mentioned, Diane, has called on the military to assist in the response to this crash.
All right, foreign correspondent Marcus Moore. Marcus, thank you.
A performer at Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show was detained and will be banned for life from NFL stadiums and events after the individual unfurled a combination Sudanese-Palestinian flag. The performer, who was part of the 400-member field cast, stood on a car being used as a prop and held the flag aloft. It was emblazoned with the words Sudan and Gaza. The NFL said the performer had hidden the flag, unveiling it late in the show, adding that no one involved in the production knew of the performer's plans. The New Orleans Police Department has said it is working to determine applicable charges.
President Donald Trump says he has directed the U.S. Treasury Department to stop minting new pennies, citing the rising cost of producing the 1-cent coin. The U.S. Mint reported losing $85.3 million in the 2024 fiscal year on the nearly 3.2 billion pennies it produced. But doing away with the penny could pose challenges for business owners and employees nationwide.
It's not necessary we need a change for work. Quarters and pennies, everything. If they stop doing it, it's no good for me.
If there were no tax, then we could have priced our goods at, let's say, 105 or 110 or 125. But since there are tax we have to include, most of the price usually winds up with, let's say, 106 or 107. And then we have to deal with the pennies. How we'll do that, we don't know yet.
It is unclear whether Trump has the power to unilaterally eliminate the lowly 1-cent coin. Currency specifications, including the size and metal content of coins, are dictated by Congress.
दो जवानों की शहादत हुई है उस पर हम सब अधिकारी यहाँ पर उनको श्रद्धांजलि दे रहे हैं। इन जवानों ने जिस बहुत बहादुरीपूर्ण ऑपरेशन में भाग लिया है, उसकी सफलता के रूप में 31 नक्सलवादियों को मारने में सफलता मिली है। ये बहुत कठिन क्षेत्र जो इंद्रावती नेशनल पार्क का एरिया है, उसमें घुस करके इन्होंने बहुत बहादुरीपूर्ण तरीके से इस अभियान को अंजाम दिया है। बिल्कुल बहुत बड़ी सफलता है। पार्क एरिया जो कि बहुत निर्जन है, जहां पर घुस के जाना मुश्किल था, वहां जाकर के इन लोगों ने ऑपरेशन को अंजाम दिया है। निश्चित तौर पे बड़ा ऑपरेशन है, बड़ी सफलता है।
The value of training for this is a great impact. It's building those relationships with our counterparts, establishing the ability to both simultaneously strike contact on different objectives simultaneously, building communication lines with each other, which, as everyone knows, communication lines are very important on the battlefield, and then also coordinating with other units as well, the 11th Engineers, the 517, air assets, indirect fires from multiple different areas. It's just very important all around.
Da još više ljudi dođe i da za svaki protest, da sve više i više ljudi bude. Ne smemo nikako da stanemo i prvo hoću da omladina, da svi koji sada sede kući da uvijek izađu na proteste, jer jedino tako možemo da promenimo nešto u ovoj državi. I baš mi je drago za naše kolege iz Kragujevca da su se ovako posvetili toliki put da pređu za nas i drago mi je što nas ima u velikom broju večeras.
ترامپ میاد اعلام میکنه که من میخوام بیایم گفتگو کنیم. بعد همونجا که میگه گفتگو کنیم تمام توطئه‌های ممکن رو برای به زانو در آوردن این انقلاب برمی‌داره، امضا میکنه، اعلام میکنه و بعد میگه ما اهل گفتگو هستیم. میگه ما میخوایم مذاکره کنیم. تو اگه اهل مذاکره بودی چرا این غلطا رو میکردی؟ میگه من دلم نمیخواد، ولی تمام راه‌ها رو در تمام زمینه‌ها میخواد ببنده، دارو رو، غذا رو، آب رو. غافل از این که یک عمر داره از این کارها میکنه. اگه میتونستن که تا حالا کرده بودن.
مرسی بچه‌ها، یه ذره بیان برتر. قرار بچه‌ها بیان بالا.
مردم میخوان با این حضورشون ثابت کنن که هرچی هم از لحاظ اقتصادی ما در سختی باشیم کشورمون رو ول نمی کنیم. هرچند که به ما فشار بیارن ما سخت و محکم پای آرمانامون وای میستیم.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and his conservative rival Friedrich Merz have faced off in a grilling of a live televised debate. It comes 2 weeks ahead of a general election. Merz, the leader of the Christian Democrats, is the favourite to become the next Chancellor. His Conservative alliance is ahead in the polls with around 30%. The debate covered a wide range of topics, including curbing irregular migration, reviving industry, budget issues and foreign policy. Let's hear what the two leaders had to say on some of those topics.
We do have challenges when the global economy weakens. But I would like to make one comment at this point. To everyone, I did not invade Ukraine. I did not stop the gas deliveries. I'm not the reason that we're in this economic situation. That was Putin. And you shouldn't use the consequences of his actions to criticize the government.
It's not that the government hasn't done anything. It has done a little.
Thanks for that. That's generous.
Well, it's not generous. I see it as it is, not as it is sometimes exaggerated. Mr. Scholz, we still have as many migrants arriving in 4 days as are deported in a month. That's still too many. Last year, we had 240,000.
The Buy Canadian movement has become a huge force in the last week alone. changing how and where people shop.
A vast amount of people are only purchasing made-in-Canada products.
Grocery store owners like Marilyn Dibb are astounded by just how quickly Canadians have dumped American products in the wake of President Donald Trump's tariff threats.
They are completely boycotting the American-made product.
And at the Canada-U.S. border, officials are reporting a huge drop in southbound traffic at some ports of entry. In Blaine, Washington, near Vancouver, wait times were just 5 minutes, down from the usual 19 minutes on a Sunday, let alone Super Bowl Sunday. All of that has some U.S. lawmakers furious with the president.
It unnecessarily harms a relationship with Canada that's been such a good relationship.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear says Canadian demand for bourbon has dropped off in the wake of Trump's aggression.
Most Americans didn't vote for the president on these issues. They don't view Canada in the way that he does.
Neighboring Illinois does big business with Canada, too. It sent $30 billion worth of goods north last year. A lot of it was food. Trump's put that in jeopardy, says this congresswoman.
Just making it that much more difficult for our farmers to keep their heads above water. It's very serious.
Minister Anita Anand is working with the provinces to quickly dismantle decades-old trade barriers between provinces to help the economy along if Trump delivers a blow. Canada needs to become more self-sufficient, whatever the president does in the end, she says.
Every one of us wants Canada to remain strong and free, and we are prepared to do whatever it takes to ensure that occurs.
Some Canadians have soured on the U.S., and Trump's latest threat to impose steel and aluminum tariffs won't help. The country's 13 premiers are headed to Washington this week, though, to smooth things over, part of a diplomatic push to get Trump to drop the tariffs for good.
And while the premiers have said they're committed to Team Canada, some still have demands for the federal government.
Yeah, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is demanding Ottawa appoint the fentanyl czar right away. Last week, the Prime Minister promised Trump he'd get one in place to help crack down on the deadly drug. That hasn't happened yet, and Smith is not happy about it. Ontario's Doug Ford is also concerned. He wants the czar named now to show the Americans that Canada is taking Trump's concerns seriously. Ian?
JP Tasker in Ottawa.
Now to the latest shakeup in U.S. government. Over the weekend, the Trump administration shut down the agency designed to protect consumers from corporate overreach. In fact, employees of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau were told to work from home until the end of the week. President Trump praised Elon Musk's efforts to reshape the federal government. The president now says he will tell Musk to do the same with the American education system, the Pentagon, and the Department of Defense. There is very little that Democrats can do other than file lawsuits.
We're at a point where we are basically on the cusp of a constitutional crisis, seeing this administration taking steps that are so clearly illegal.
Democrats warn they will offer no help to the White House to codify these massive cuts, even if it means shutting down the government.
The Trump administration's efforts to slash the federal budget are facing a growing number of legal challenges. President Trump tasked billionaire Elon Musk with heading a non-governmental agency. It's known as DOGE, to gain access to federal agency financial systems.
Yeah, but that move is being met with criticism and lawsuits over what exactly can be accessed. Correspondent Libby Dean now has more from Washington.
I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people.
President Trump and Elon Musk's plan to slash government waste facing challenges in the courts. This morning, a federal judge blocking Elon Musk's access to sensitive material from the Treasury Department's information system. But DOJ also earning a victory in court Friday, as another judge declined to block the agency from accessing Labor Department systems. Musk posting on X today what he says the DOJ team and U.S. Treasury have agreed to, including categorization codes and rationale fields for government payments, items he says are frequently left blank. Musk also notes that do not pay lists must be enforced, alleging them to be fraudulent, tied to dead people or fronts for terrorist organizations. The Department of Government Efficiency's overhaul a flashpoint in Washington this week, as Trump says Musk isn't stopping there.
We're going to be looking at Department of Education. We're going to be looking at even our military. We're going to be looking at tremendous amounts of money, Peter, being spent on things that bear no relationship to anything and have no value. We're talking about trillions of dollars. It will be, in the end, trillions of dollars being absolutely wasted and perhaps illegally.
New Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth welcoming the budget look-through by Musk, posting on X, quote, "Looking forward to working with you on this, Elon Musk. Need to cut the fat and grow the muscle." The incoming cuts to the Education Department a big concern to Democratic lawmakers who had a standoff with security outside the agency's headquarters on Friday.
And this man is blocking the door. He says he's a federal employee. He won't tell us who gave him permission to do this. All he knows is he's going to stand here and tell the members of Congress who are elected, who vote for the funding for all of them in this building and for the student loans and for the Title I families, he's going to tell us that we can't come in.
Speaking at his Mar-a-Lago estate, President Trump firing back at Democrats.
The Democrats have lost their minds. They tried to break into the Department of Education just because we want to go and check the books. And Maxine Waters is a lunatic, and you know, they're all lunatics, frankly.
That was Libby Dean reporting. Now, Musk is also facing backlash over the DOJ team that he's hired. Wired reports that a 19-year-old DOJ member had started a company that hired convicted hackers and has at least 2 Russian-registered domains. Another DOJ staffer reposted comments from white nationalists and misogynists on social media.
בוקר טוב, אדוני ראש הממשלה, תודה על ההישגים המדיניים. אדוני ראש הממשלה, אתה לא חושב שהגיע הזמן להוציא את כל החטופים החוצה, הם עוברים שואה? הם עוברים שואה, אתה לא חושב שצריך להוציא אותם החוצה עוד השבוע? בדחיפות, האחים והאחיות שלנו עוברים שואה, אז צריך להוציא אותם. לא ראש הממשלה. מתי מוציאים אותם, האחים והאחיות שלנו מהגיהנום? תפני לחמאס, יש לך את היד, התייחסות למצבם של החטופים.
מאיפה אני יוצא? אני עובר דרכו?
תעבור כבוד ראש הממשלה על הרעיון שנתת בסוף השבוע.
חברת הכנסת דבי ביטון, קריאה ראשונה. לא לעזור לי, תודה. בבקשה.
לאורך שנותיי כראש הממשלה נפגשתי בבית הלבן 20 פעם עם נשיא ארצות הברית. אבל המפגש ההיסטורי עם הנשיא דונלד טראמפ, אבל המפגש ההיסטורי...
חבר הכנסת שטרן, קריאה ראשונה. חברת הכנסת גוטליב, קריאה ראשונה.
של ראש מדינה...
רציתי להגיד לו, חבל שלך.
לא, נא לצאת, תודה רבה. ולא לעזור פה, לא לעזור, לא לעזור. חבר הכנסת אלמוג כהן, קריאה ראשונה.
מדינת ישראל חזקה, אתה אחראי לאסון הגדול ביותר.
נא להוציא את חבר הכנסת קריב.
מאז השואה, תלך למנרה, תלך לניר עוז, תלך לניר עוז.
נא להוציא את חבר הכנסת קריב, תודה.
ואתם עם הצעקות שלכם לא יכולים להסתיר את האמת. ביקור היסטורי, הישג היסטורי ועידן היסטורי לפנינו, אם רק נדע להתמיד ולעשות את הדבר הנכון ולא לחזור על שגיאות העבר שלכם, אנשי אוסלו.
חברת הכנסת בן ארי, קריאה שלישית, נא לצאת.
שלנו 17 שנה בשלטון.